All right. Well, today we got fairly nice weather, a little bit of wind, so I thought we'd do a little bit of casting, or at least make an attempt to cast up our fifth bearing, or the first prototypes of our fifth bearing. So what I'm doing is I'm going to make some changes to the pattern a little bit, and I like to cast a couple of prototypes up on anything new that I start out doing. I've already rammed up one mold, and I've got it sitting over here. We'll have it when we get ready to cast. I had a little bit of fallout of it on the back, and it's kind of what I expected. I'll go in and I'll rework that pattern a little bit. I haven't done it yet, but your patterns will run a little bit better after they've been cast 2 or 3 times and you've kind of fine-tuned them a little bit, just because the sand smooths them a little bit more and everything. So I'm here at the bench. I've already started putting sand in the flask here. This was kind of an afterthought. I forgot to get the camera out. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to finish ramming up this mold. I'm not going to put any commentary to it, I don't think. We'll just ram it up, and then we'll shift it over when we get ready to fire up the furnace and do a pour. Well, this looks pretty good. What I'm going to do, these molds are heavy enough. I'm going to take the bottom portion over. I'm going to set it down on my little casting platform. Then I'll take the top over and put them back together. Now I've already put them together once, so I know we've taken care of hopefully any sand dropout we're going to have and any little pieces that fall off. This pattern actually came out a whole lot better than the first one that I did. I didn't get hardly any fallout on the back of the pattern. And let me turn it around here so maybe we can see a little bit. On the first pattern that I did, and it is hard for me to see out here too with the sunlight the way it is, so I don't know how good I'm going to catch anything for you here. Right in through here, both top and bottom, I had a fair amount of fallout on both of them. Not a big deal, I can smooth that out really quickly. Like I say, these are just prototypes anyway. We just want to know how the pattern is going to pour. My thickest section, of course, is right in the center of that main boss where the bearing assembly is going to go. I intentionally left that heavy. I'm going to pour directly into that. From the bottom side, we're pouring this with the front side is actually down, so we're pouring this in the back. It's not the best way to cast these, but it's the best way to get a fill and the easiest way for me to ram up a pattern right now. I didn't bother to make a follower board for this, and if this casts all right, I probably won't. The main part of shrinkage we're going to get is right in this area where the boss is anyway, so we're just going to fill it there. We've added a couple of risers here. I don't know that those risers are really necessary. Normally I would put some vent holes in this. I'm not going to vent these. I want to know how it pours without vents, and I think this is going to be a thick enough casting through the center that I think we'll get a real good pour with risers out the side. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and move this stuff out, get them put back together, and weight it down. We'll fire up the furnace and get ready to pour it. Alright, well both of those looked like they probably filled pretty good. I think those will be fine. Right. Cooler than it was, so let's just start breaking it open and see what it looks like. Normally I've got a wheelbarrow I throw this into, break them open, and then I can go ahead and move them out of there to re-riddle it, but for sake of video, why I didn't do that. We're just going to throw it here into our little hand riddle and see if we can through this sand pile and re-riddle it anyway, I guess. Pull it out. Open and see what we got here. Wire brush the back off, but that looks like we got a pretty good fill. Now this is the second one I rammed up on camera that didn't really have any fallout down here around the bottom, and it's actually the first one I poured. Don't look like we've got any noticeable shrinkage to the center, and this will all be machined away anyway, so that's why I chose to pour right in the middle. That's a really good casting for a first one out. So we'll let that set off and cool a little bit, and then we'll cut off the runners and the risers and or the sprue and the risers, and we'll take a closer look at it. Let's pop open the other one and see what it says. Alright, all I did was get out the wheelbarrow and run her over here. Make it a little bit easier on me when I go to clean up the sand again. Okay, all in all, not too bad. We're going to let those cool off a little bit. We'll cut off the spruce risers, clean up the rest of the sand. This is the first one that I rammed up that I said I had some fallout out of. Okay, well, we got a couple of fifth bearings cast up, and as I said before, these are simply prototypes. What I'm going to do with the two that I've got here is I'm going to go ahead and machine them out, and I'm going to use one or both of them to finalize the way I want to machine them. And once we get that final design done and everything set up exactly the way we want it, why then I'll probably modify this pattern a little bit. I'll probably contour it down a little bit more. I'll probably remove a little bit of this radius around here and kind of blend it up. There's some things that would make it aesthetically more pleasing. I think we've got a little more material than what we need. Now, as far as the castings go, this is the first pattern that I rammed up before I started filming, before I started videoing it, and this is actually the second one that I poured. And the logic for that is I wanted to pour the one that I knew was the better mold first, and then if I ran into a problem, if I ran out of material, whatever the case may be, why I got hopefully the best of the two done. They're both good functional castings for what I wanted. Now this is the first one that I rammed up. I said I had a little problem with fallout, and I did. I lost quite a bit of material here. I can grind that out. I can machine it when I've got it set up in the mill, which is probably what I'll do. I'll just cut that out of there. Like I say, we're not going to use either of these castings when we're done. I did have one little inclusion here, which is why I kind of ground it down. I'm not sure exactly what that is. That was a fairly substantial inclusion, but this will all be machined away. Got a little bit of shrinkage on this side, which I also anticipated, and that's why I cast with the pouring sprue right in the center of the where the bearing will go, because all of this will be machined out. So I knew we were going to get some shrinkage there. Now the one that I poured first, which was the better of the two, I've got a lot more shrinkage. I've got quite a bit of shrinkage here and quite a bit more shrinkage here on the back. And the reason is I poured this one first. Metal was a little bit hot. I didn't get out the pyrometer and measure what temperature was at all on it, but I didn't know it was a little bit hot, and I wanted it hot because I wanted the molds to fill. No matter what happened beyond that, I wanted to kind of know how they were going to react when they filled. So I knew we were going to get some shrinkage, and in that area it makes not a bit of difference. This one I got a real good pull out of. You know, we didn't have any fallout on either side of that, so that can still be smoothed up a little bit, but that's my technique more than anything else. Finish on the casting is okay. It's not great. I didn't use a real fine facing sand on it. I just used what I had in the sand bin. So the next thing is going to be, I'm going to set it up in the mill in this orientation. We'll level it out here. We're going to deck this off and use that as our primary surface. Once we've got that decked off, and we'll probably go ahead and drill and ream our holes to mount it at that point in time, so we can go ahead and mount it on the block that we've got set up as a dummy block to machine it off. Once that's all done, why those surfaces are done, we're probably going to reference it down on the mill table like this. We can cut our 90-degree end on this, so we'll have to cut that, and then we'll just start working what we need to do. Once it's in that position, why then we'll go ahead and start. I'll remove most of this material. We'll center it up on the block itself, and we'll remove the majority of this material, but then we'll line board on a block. So anyway, that's where we're at. We got two good castings. I know I haven't put anything out on this for a while, and it's just because the weather hasn't cooperated. It hasn't been real good to cast, and I wasn't sure I had my sand tempered right, and it's awful close to where it's supposed to be. So we've got our oil hole boss on this end, and everything looks pretty good on them. I'm pretty happy with that. So anyway, there's the latest update on our fifth bearing. So we'll let you know when we've got some more progress. So if you found these helpful, well, go ahead and hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. If you hit the bell notification, you'll know when I put out a new video. And any comments or suggestions, leave them in the comments section for me below. And thanks for taking the time to watch.